Welcome to episode number 191, the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We are recording January the 15th, 2023. My name is Eric, host of the show, based in Southern Ontario, target shooter, ham radio operator, and computer geek. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events and started a small preparedness company to help people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
My name is Ian. I'm a hobby farmer on Vancouver Island and occasional couch surfer in Toronto.
I'm Alan. I'm a safety trainer, first responder, security expert, overall safety nerd, and lover of swearing.
I'm Jeff. I'm based in Central Ontario. I am a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and weather nerd.
And I'm Brad. I'm in Eastern Ontario, part-time amateur prepper, constantly trying to better myself.
I'm Greg. I'm in Southeast Georgia, former U.S. Army infantryman, avid prepper, and whiskey enthusiast.
My name is Pierre. I'm a technical beard owner. I make funny t-shirts and a government critique.
They are great t-shirts.
I will agree.
If you want to help support the show and keep the Canadian Prepper Podcast on the air, you can buy some swag. We have both the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and tactical Velcro patch at www.prepperpodcast.ca. All proceeds help keep the lights on and the backup generator fueled.
All right, if you're enjoying the show between the sniffles and the background talking, please take a few minutes and like us on Facebook and submit a review on iTunes. Also, if you want your feedback, good or bad, or if it's just a topic you want us to cover, you can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
And if you're lucky, you might even get some rage quitting again tonight. I guess we'll find out. All right, we've got some self-made content for you in this episode. We're going to start off with some recent news. We're going to update you on our personal preps since the last episode. We're going to get into the main topic, preps that you can do on your own. Let's move into the news.
All right. Well, as everybody have heard earlier this week, there's some planes grounded across, mainly the States, but also Canada. First time that's happened since 9/11. So all domestic, basically all flights that were trying to leave the ground in the U.S. were not allowed to go for about 8 hours. Originally, they had no explanation what happened, and then they turned around and blamed two contractors that put some bad source code in their system that allowed them to disseminate information around to all the airports. However, they had no explanation as to why it happened in Canada as well for a few hours. So I'm thinking denial of service attack, but
we just did it because the U.S. did it, and therefore, right.
Yeah.
And we just didn't want to be left out of the circle.
Yeah. You let those same contractors in, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's what those contractors, those pesky guys must have gone across and hopped on the border. But
yeah, they must have found an insecure spot that just jump over quick.
Yeah.
There's not many of those.
Second one, I guess, despite the fact that, pre-election, President Biden did say that the COVID pandemic was over. Then they turned right around and extended the COVID emergency now till at least April 19th, I think it is. So, yay. I have no idea why they do it, but anyway. Yeah.
Why does the government do anything? Take money, get power.
Or at least maintain power.
This is true.
Yeah.
All right, so I stumbled across a little nostalgia here. Nothing to do with prepping, really, but apparently Zellers is returning to Canada. Interesting.
I wouldn't say that's nothing to do with prepping. I have a sleeping bag in my camping kit that I bought at Zellers 23 years ago. That is still in excellent shape.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I figured I'd just throw it in there for those listeners that remember Zellers. It's apparently coming back in 2023.
I was a floor walker at Zellers pre 9/11.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's Zellers?
Target.
It's
okay.
like Canadian Target.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully they've updated their inventory to go beyond like windbreakers and leg warmers, but we'll see.
I just hope they bring the restaurant back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Although it's funny, we say that it's the Canadian version of Target, but at least in my town, when Zellers closed, they actually tried to run a Target in there, and it lasted Eric, maybe 8 months, a year tops. And
just under a year. Yeah.
Well, Target's like expansion into Canada didn't make any sense for a few reasons. First and foremost, they were trying to convert. They were trying to pack they're trying to pack trucks and like service out of the US. They were trying to distribute into Canada that way, but they were trying to pack kilograms where things weighed pounds. So they were shipping half full trucks because they couldn't get the conversion right. And their their planograms and their merchandising was all fixed, and they had no flexibility, so they couldn't change parts to things that could be sold in Canada. And then they were trying to sell things that weren't CSA approved and had to pull them off the shelves, so the shelves were always empty.
That might explain it.
So, quick question: do y'all have Walmart in Canada?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I was going to say Target didn't last because, like, the whole reason for Target is to spend a little bit more money so that you can avoid Walmart. For the people in Walmart.
That's the best part of Walmart, though.
At 3
The
o'clock
people.
in the morning, yes.
People watching
but-
is the best part
Yeah.
of Walmart.
Yes.
Well, that's why they refer to Target as the upscale Walmart, because it was Target. It was like it was high-end, right?
So I've got a couple of quick ones here. I don't have a link to it, but a grocery store in Kitchener, Ontario, was caught selling a party size Caesar salad, not a chicken Caesar, shrimps, and nothing like that. Your good old average Caesar salad, party size. There's some dispute back and forth about how actually what a party size stands for. Anyways, long story short it was $41.99 for a salad.
Yikes. Dressing extra?
Yeah, the
Probably.
extra couple dressing things. Yeah.
Yikes. That's
Yep.
crazy.
Not a whole
It
lot
is
of reason to
nuts.
be charging that much for lettuce. I mean, I saw a 3-pack of lettuce here for like $5.99 just earlier today, but that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's incredibly ridiculous.
And that's why salad is bad.
Yes.
Stick with meat.
Salad's always been bad, but now it's really bad.
And the other one I just kind of threw in there, and I encourage people to have a quick read of it, is I don't know if anybody's heard, but there was some hoopla last week about potentially the I believe it was the Consumer Protection Agency in the United States was looking at banning gas stoves because of the hazard. They said it was a health hazard and whatever. So anyways, that kind of went away, but New York's governor just recently in her address proposed a ban on all fossil fuel heating in new homes in New York State by 2030.
I say we put a ban on her.
Good luck.
Yeah,
on
they
that.
basically, and I mean, we've all seen it where we don't even have the cars yet, electric cars, EVs to a great extent, and they're already telling people the grid can't handle it and whatever. Her answer is, yeah, let's just make all homes electric heat. No, nothing fossil fuel. So no gas stoves, no oil stoves, no oil heating, no gas heating. It will be electric.
Oh, that's good. I'm sure we have the infrastructure to support that.
That's just
Yeah,
straight up
for
a bad idea.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those politicians backed down over the whole gas stove idea because also it was just the cause du jour. But until all of them had videos or pictures of themselves cooking over gas stoves, which was pretty awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah. So it says here in the article, quick, it says Hochul, who is the governor, unveiled a potential ban on the sale of fossil fuel burning heating equipment beginning in 2030, as well as requirements that new residential and commercial buildings and gutted improvements go all electric over the next decade. So
We can solve all of this with violence. Every last bit of it.
So,
but I wanted to be
I-
clear that
can
doesn't include
you-
a gas stove. It's only heating equipment.
Can you identify the American on the panel? First
It's
three
me.
guesses don't count.
but so does that mean that there's going to be a registry when you purchase a new gas stove?
Ooh.
It'll just be a ban. They'll solve everything.
You never know.
Yes.
Yep, they'll just.
Of course it will.
Yep.
Of course
And
it will.
I'm just kind of throwing that out there for, you know what, if you're looking at alternate heating sources and whatever, I'm going to imagine at some point with the whole fossil fuel thing, I'm going to imagine at some point Wood stoves are going to be next on the list that they're going to ban them. I believe, and quote me if I'm wrong, Ian, I believe there were a couple of cities or municipalities in BC a few years ago that tried to, if you already had the wood stove, you were fine, but they cut them out on new builds. So
City of Toronto, you can't put a wood stove or a wood burning fireplace in anymore.
Yeah, so it was
Crazy.
Montreal and Toronto, and but they floated the idea in BC and got laughed out of office basically because, I mean, besides the industry that's based around forestry, but simply the fact is there's just no infrastructure to provide an alternative. Like even the power lines wouldn't be able to handle it, let alone there's no gas lines, there's no nothing on most of BC. So
yeah.
So I don't know how it is there, but I know in Vermont, my dad's got a wood stove out in his shop, and they told him that he could not insure the building itself because he had a wood stove in there.
yeah, so the way it works is as long as it's not your primary mode of heat, it doesn't matter how much you use it. But we have a radiant floor heat in the house, but we just tend not to leave the circuit breaker on, and then but so that's not the primary mode of heat is radiant floor, whereas we heat the house with wood. So that's just the way it is.
Yep, they've got wood burning fireplace here, and same thing. They insure it no problem, but gas furnace is primary. But still,
It just might be set low. That's all.
maybe not emitting anything on the interwebs.
I think one of the reasons they said he couldn't insure the building itself because it was like it's a wooden structure. He has like a slab poured or like tile or something, so the stove's not sitting on wood or anything, and it has a backing and all that good stuff. So it's done right. But yeah, they still said that they wouldn't insure it. I was like, well, then don't insure the building, just insure everything inside it.
I like
Yeah.
Steve's point in the live chat. It's just going to design a catalytic converter for wood stoves. That'll make everything better.
I'm in the
take
South.
3.
Somebody's going to rob that.
Yeah, as I say, until somebody steals the palladium out of it.
Yep.
I'll take 3.
It's all fun and games until I walk out in my living room and there's a meth head with a sawzall trying to cut off the catalytic converter in my
Yep.
wood stove. Like, bro, I'm
Well,
right here.
he's eyeing up your truck.
Yeah, exactly. What?
His girlfriend's outside cutting it out of the truck.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Was I thinking? Right.
Joke's on you, woman. I ain't got no catalytic converter on that truck.
All right. Shall we move into what we've done lately for preps?
Let me see here. Let me go back to my notes. I got a new snowblower today.
Oh,
New to me, anyways.
very nice.
My old one has decided to not start no matter how much I actually pull the pull handle, and the electric gears in it aren't meshing anymore. There's a couple of teeth missing on it, so I sourced out a
Did you
new
put
one
gas
for
in
me.
it?
I did put gas in it. I
Hey,
even
is it-
changed the oil.
Not the
in it.
stuff from 2 years ago, the new stuff.
No.
And
got
if
good
it's
I
missing
got good
teeth,
gas
was it getting into
rotation.
fights or what's going on?
Yeah.
It was probably in Greg's house stealing the cat.
Probably.
Missing a couple teeth now. That's it.
There you go. Yeah.
So I sourced it out on Kijiji actually this morning,
Nice.
and emailed the guy back and forth. And okay, when are you going to be home? Can I come and see it? Tell me a little bit more about it. All of that. Turns out when I went to see the guy, I went to school with him 30 years ago.
Huh.
So
Well, first of all, I'm calling bullshit because if you ordered it on Kijiji, you should have asked them to deliver it to your house for free.
Yes. And he should actually pay you for the privilege of taking it from him. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of the way
Yeah,
Kijiji works.
it
but-
wasn't bad
yeah.
though. It was 11 kilometers from my house. I'm like, I can go
Oh.
for a little Sunday drive. No big deal.
You're
I
the
went and
nice
got
guy
it.
on Kijiji. Got it.
I went and got it. He originally had it for just close to $200, and I walked away with it for $160 instead.
Not bad.
And brought it home. I think I have to adjust the idler arm on the chute. It doesn't seem to be throwing the snow that I have here. It's a little bit heavier, and I think it should be good to go. So I
Well,
was
the
happy
snow-
for that one.
The snow 11 kilometers away would be completely different. So Makes sense.
Well, we didn't try it at
South,
his
north,
place.
east, or west?
Not much, anyways. I had a couple of bigger drifts here that I wanted to move around, and it just wasn't doing it too much. And I couldn't get somebody to come outside and push down the arm while I took a look at the auger and the impeller to see how well it was turning. So
Zip
I'm going to
tie.
adjust the idler arm a little bit, tighten up the belt, and probably get a new belt for it.
Nice.
And it'll have a better snowblower. And the engine is actually the same as my old one, which works very well when it does.
I was just about to say,
throws
you
snow
just said
very
it
well
doesn't
anyways.
work.
Well, it doesn't work at the moment, but it throws snow when it was working very well.
Fair enough.
So I'm thinking I might either change the auger or the engine. One to the other. Don't know yet. But anyways, did a little bit more cleanup downstairs. I have some vacation time this week coming, so I'm going to be working downstairs a lot and cleaning up and organizing and building, and that's it. That's all I've been doing.
Very nice.
I did a little bit more work on my Faraday box. It's been lagging, and I really do need to get it finished up. So I did a little bit of work, not enough, but I did some. And I just did some fuel rotation.
Awesome. For myself, a little bit of organization. It's getting to be a little bit disorganized around here. Who knew with two little kids running around houses would get like that? Strange phenomenon. Yeah. I got the electrician all lined up for tomorrow, so he's coming to do some other work. And while he's here, he's going to put the EMP shields in the main breaker box here and the generator. So in those panels. So be happy about that. I've been toying around with the idea of doing it myself, and every time I get to the point of getting to the breaker box, I'm like, I feel like living today. So that thing just scares me. So had the opportunity. He was here, so I asked if he'd put them in. He said, yeah, no problem. So gonna get that done tomorrow. And then I've been playing around with a 3D printer. So I picked that up a little while ago and have finally kind of got it dialed in. I've been printing a couple of things here and there, and yeah, it's been kind of fun to goof around with. So
I'm gonna message you after this. I need you to print me something.
okay.
I don't think he's allowed to print steady receivers and auto sears.
No, I'm not printing those, but I'll print you a little I'll print you a little box or something. Wink, wink.
I'll take it. I need a coat rack actually. So
Okay. See what we can do.
Anyways, as for myself, let's see here. I outfitted my Toronto mobile prep unit, which is also known as my car. I had to ship it out by rail in order to get out here in a reasonable amount of time. And one of the new rules, unlike what it used to be like about 10 years ago, you have to ship it empty. So they allowed me to leave, like, I think, jumper cables, like a snow brush and a first aid kit in there, which I did. But then, of course, it came time to, put everything else I needed in there. So everything from an air pump, because I had a leaky tire, to, lighters, knives, everything else. Still got to find a wool blanket here at the local thrift store, but I'm working on that. Anyways, and then, so yeah, a couple of little tidbits, and get new tires put on tomorrow, because it turns out that my West Coast weather, that usually the hippies put up with, and it's just heavy rain and stuff. We don't really need like the full-on heavy grip tires, but since they're basically bald, I thought I should put new tires on before the real snow happens here again.
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I figured I'd rather than end up in the ditch like everybody else. And then that was just setting up my temporary bug out location here, which is also known as one of the other panelists' place. Got a little room and hiding in the basement, and then just been doing some regular exercise to keep up with the other podcast challenge, which is the 75 hard challenge. It's nothing sexual, guys. It is basically just like 75 days of no drinking, exercise, and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, it's been good. So yeah,
is that bunch of stuff sexual?
Well, it is hard for
Tell me
me.
about your cardio.
Depends. You're invited to the meeting.
That's what somebody would say when they want to divert from it being sexual.
That's true. I didn't ask questions. I said I meant for 75 hard. I didn't ask. I just So.
That sounds like
you have no idea.
For myself, I've been crazy busy doing work things and school things. I wrote an accreditation exam on Friday. It's 3 bubble sheets with a total of 240 questions, and apparently it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks for the government to tell me if I passed.
They still do bubble sheets?
It's literally a Scantron, and it's going to take
color
4
in
weeks.
with a pencil and
yeah.
And you have to use
Wow.
HV2 and stuff. Yeah, like the 80s still survive, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I thought Zellers was nostalgic.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you get outside the line, you don't get the mark. Oh yeah. Did some vehicle maintenance, moved some heavy things around in the gym. I've been crazy busy with work, school, and some family commitments. Since I was in the neighborhood, this is not really a prep thing, but more of apparently we're talking about nostalgic things. I was in the neighborhood this morning, so I went down to see my grandpa's plane from the time when he was in the Air Force, which is currently on display near the base where he trained.
Cool.
My wife and my kids have never, well, my kids have seen it, but it was years and years and years ago. My wife had never been there, so we went down and took a gander. And I've done nothing else. I've been far too busy with school and work.
Nothing wrong with that.
For me, I did I think it was yesterday morning, I did a fitness evaluation for an upcoming PT test for a job that I'm going out for in Vermont. Did some weapons maintenance, some DIY projects. Me and some friends of mine set up a grid downish exercise with some other friends coming up here. And I also began helping some more friends figure out where to start on their bags and gear.
It's a lot of friends.
I have a lot.
They're all in low places though, so it's
Oh, absolutely.
Good.
Well, they're kind of higher up. It's actually me that is the friend in low places.
Started prepping a bag for a new ruck challenge coming up. I think it starts. Actually, it might start tomorrow. I don't know. For the other one, 6 weeks. Did some. I didn't do much food prep, but food prep was done in the house. A little bit of rotation. Did some organizing of a little bit of the extra stuff just laying around that we've kind of just thrown places, and went on a crazy rabbit hole chase. And I find out when you want to do 2 of everything, it sucks because it's
Was
double.
it propane tanks?
Right?
Propane tanks?
No.
Can openers. Carbon monoxide
No.
detectors.
Oh, you beat me to it. I couldn't get to the mute button fast enough.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a fun adventure doing some research, reading up, and everything. So I guess you could say I had learned something. That was good.
Very nice.
I was going to say I had to juggle 2 CGN deals at one time, but that's not quite the same thing.
Is that even a thing anymore?
Yeah, it is actually, but I just haven't been on there for a while. Amazingly, the market dried up when government started tracking things. It's so weird.
Weird. That is weird.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with
Now
that,
it's
shall
not
we,
advertised.
shall we move into the main topic? Yeah, it's gone to the dark net.
All right, so y'all got to bear with me because I got a lot written down over here. So, just with this generation of not only preppers but people as a whole, everyone loves a DIY project. Not only myself, but my wife and my mother both DIY prep. I myself like to make, like for example, ferro rods, waterproof matches, char cloth, knives, a little bit of leather work here and there. And I like to make my own like first aid kits, IFAKs, to keep in the cars. You can buy those already made, and there's some really great ones out there. Personally, I'm picky. I know what I like. So like specific, carrying cases, specific brand, tourniquets, combat gauze, quick clot, stuff like that. So I prefer to make my own because, I mean, it's not going to save you a whole lot of money doing it that way. You might save a few bucks here and there, but I just prefer to make my own. So a lot of y'all know me and my wife make like our own soaps, candles, chapsticks, fix and wax, leather conditioner, stuff like that. And a lot of the ingredients for all of those will kind of go back and forth, and it's just different levels of what goes in this one, what goes in that one, and stuff like that. But a lot of them actually cross over and use the same one. As far as like the candles and everything, you can make the smaller ones for camping and stuff like that, for fire starting. That way you're not sitting there with your lighter burning out your fuel, stuff like that. That's really the type of stuff I enjoy doing. You know, I like to cut my phone off and disappear into the woods for a few days. But that's what me and my wife do together. My mother does a massive amount of like canning and food prep, water prep, stuff like that, and makes all of her own little crafts and stuff like that. There's a lot of reasons to do it yourself. I mean, you can modify whatever gear you may have already, or make something a specific way. You know, if you don't want to go out and buy it, you can, you know, make your own, make it your way, depending on what you're looking at. Sometimes it's cheaper, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just tinkering around with stuff and, you know, being therapeutic. Eric, don't mute me or kick me out on this, but I've done a lot of work on and upgrades on people's rifles for them, and they'll be like, yeah, you know, keep that factory trigger mechanism, or keep that, you know, factory buffer tube, or whatever. You know, I put a skeletonized upper receiver on a guy's rifle for him one day, and he let me just keep his old upper receiver. You know, it was stripped, and before I knew it, like, I had to buy a lower and a barrel, a gas tube, and a gas block, and that was it. And I had another rifle.
So why would I kick you out? For that?
Well, is your hands are tied. If you get an extra buffer tube, you pretty much got to build a rifle around that, right?
You
Like,
don't have a
it's-
choice. At that point.
Yeah,
it's a must do. I kick you out for not doing it.
Right.
But you know, it's just stuff like that. If you like working with your hands, I mean, if you like making things, I mean, DIY preps are, you know, they're a dime a dozen different ideas. And if you're worried about, you know, screwing something up, you might want to hit the explicit button, but fuck it. You know, if you're worried about screwing something up, you know, if you can screw it up, you can fix it, or you can make it better. I mean,
There's only one way to learn how to do something, and it's by trying.
you're gonna break a few things. You're
You're
gonna
gonna
screw
break
something
things.
up. Believe me, you're gonna waste a little bit of money here and there, but it's definitely worth it in the end.
100%.
In my opinion, you know, if you take pride in, you know, making something, or, you know, whatnot, other people are gonna see that. They're gonna see your product, or, you know, maybe not even a product, and you may not be selling anything. You just, you know, hanging out at work, and, you know, you got something that you use on the regular. You know, it's gonna spark conversation, let you know the type of people that are around you, and you know, stuff like that. It opens up a situation for barter or exchange, trade, you know, stuff like that. I've got a knife right here that I'm making for Darius, and he's making me a sling. I think he actually just finished up the sling for me yesterday.
Nice.
So, you know, he's no money exchange or anything like that. It's just he made me something, I made him something. We're both going to be able to use it. It was, you know, he was asking me about making him a knife, and I was like, well, I got a rifle over here that doesn't have a sling. Actually, that one
Look at
behind me.
Nice.
But, you know, it's something like that to where thanks, Mel.
Yes.
So, you know, you can just find a lot more peace and just making something than just going out and buying it. You know, I've made a lot of stuff. I don't even know where to begin, because I guarantee I'm gonna look over something. Like I said, you know, the different, you know, candles, leather conditioners, the fix and wax and stuff like that. You know, it's not hard to do. it's time consuming, but it's fun. I mean, I can literally take stuff with me out into the woods and take my little camp stove out there with a little fuel thing, and I can sit out there in the woods and make that stuff and be in my own little world. I can do it at my desk at work. Well, not now because I started a new job, and they're probably not going to let me bring fire in there. I'm pretty
Actually,
sure.
I do have a question on.
Okay.
I got a question on the fire rod, because the fire kits. So you said you make your own ferro rods. Like, I assume you buy like the bulk ferro rods on Amazon or something.
I do.
And
I'll do that. And so the craziest thing when I first started doing that is we're working on that, Mel. Mel says you guys need a website to sell your goodies. I was actually going to tell y'all something after all this. We'll talk about it. I am actually setting up like an Amazon store, Etsy store,
Nice.
where I'm hopefully going to be placing my first order of certain products. Hopefully not next, maybe towards the end of next month, beginning of the following, not sure. But on the ferro rods, yeah, I'd just buy those in bulk, just the blank ones, nothing on them. And then I got some little strikers as well that have like the little measurements on them. I got one around here somewhere. But yeah, this one right here, actually. So it's got like a can opener and little
Rattle
one of
take
them
six.
things.
That's
Yeah.
the most important thing.
And I just use that as an extra because I like to put on my knives. I put a 90-degree edge on the back. But anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked there. The ferro rods, when I first started doing them, I was like, I don't know what type of wood to use. I found a website where it was like hardwood flooring. Okay. And hardwood flooring, some of them is like, I don't know, maybe an inch thick. And I just cut it up, man, drilled a hole, glued them in there, and just shaped it and played around. And that's how I first started doing them. I may play around with some epoxy, doing it that way. I have not tried putting a handle on any of the 1/2 inch by like 5 stuff like that. That one's pretty big as it is. But I thought about doing like a fatwood handle on it, so you can literally just shave the handle down and then strike it and be good to go. Just little stuff like that. And I mean, I'm in South Georgia. There's fat wood everywhere. So, and that's another thing. If you don't know how to identify fat wood or a pine knot or stuff like that, there's a million other things that it's called. There's videos all over YouTube. If you've got pine trees around you, just grab a backpack, grab your significant other, and just go for a hike.
Yep.
I couldn't tell you how many times me and Jessica just grab our backpack and I'll grab my little folding saw and throw it in there and we'll just go for a walk. If I see a downed pine tree or something like that, I'll cut it at the knot and throw a little pine knot in the backpack and come home and make a little fire kit, stuff like that. It's peaceful, it's helpful, I enjoy it.
Nice.
I got you, Mel. Mel said she needs a whole chef knife set made, so I'll start working on that next.
Nice.
Awesome. So I got a couple of things here in regards to just some little DIY preps that I've done at one point in time or another. I think we've all done this one on the panel, or most of us have anyway. It's just building a little Faraday box. So out of like a 50 cal ammo can. Fairly simple to do, fairly inexpensive, and you can put some of your electronics in there. So just need the 50 cal ammo box and some way to seal it up, and can put some cardboard in around the inside of it and some tape to hold it in, and away you go.
I think the benefit of doing that too is the fact that it's just really not commercially available. Like you can't
That
walk
too,
into Walmart
yep.
and say, I need an EMP Faraday cage because can somebody help me with that? And most
got
people won't know what it
posed-
is, right? So
This is true. Yeah. So
the
it's
thing is with the DIY prep, sometimes it's necessity that creates that
Yep.
urge, I
Yep,
guess,
true.
because you're not going to get it otherwise.
True. Yeah, there are some commercial product out there for Faraday boxes that you can purchase now, but for a long time they weren't out there. They're just kind of starting to get popular now. But still way easier to build one to your specs to fill what you need. So it's one option. Portable power box is something else I've kind of discussed throughout episodes that I've put together. Again, using the 50 cal ammo can. This one was plastic versus metal, and just put a LifePo battery in it, and I use it for all my portable ham radio operation. So it was took an hour or two to put together and figure it all out. It cost me one battery because I hooked it up backwards the first time around. But hey, you know what? That's all about learning, right? So let the magic smoke out. Realize that you got to put the smoke back in, and I have no way to put the smoke back in. So had to
At
replace.
least you haven't burned a cell phone yet, so
this is true. This is true. And then as well, I know this is shocking. I'm going to go along the ham radio route of things, but building your own antennas is something that you can also do fairly cheaply and fairly easily. Again, it takes a little bit of research to do, but a couple of bits and pieces and some wire, and you've got yourself an antenna. So you don't have to go commercial for that, because there's all kinds of rabbit holes you go down with commercial antennas. But quick little guide and a few little bits and pieces, and away you go with your own, and it's way cheaper than buying it commercial, and you learn a lot too doing it.
Definitely a lot of money to be saved there.
Oh yes, and as I mentioned in what we've done lately for preps, I gotta throw 3D printing in because it's my new addiction. so and you can make all kinds of stuff with that.
So you went down a different rabbit hole.
I did, yeah.
So question on the 3D printing now, is it getting to the point where now like you can get like metal embedded kind of plastic or some sort of structurally stronger material than just regular like kind of the plastic?
Yeah, I've only printed with PLA so far. I think you can get some fancier stuff, but I have not gone down that rabbit hole yet. I'll let you know when I do, because I'm probably bound to. But I've only printed with plastic.
It'd be interesting to see if they can toughen it up somehow to like make it a little more durable, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Steve is saying carbon fiber filament. Interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right then. And he's got 6 printers, so
of course he does.
It's an addiction. It's a lot like guns. When you get one, they multiply.
Yes.
So
guns are evil, scary.
I put down especially like I mentioned in the beginning news article with the cost of produce or basically anything going up so much. If you haven't or you're interested in it, build yourself a garden, raised beds. Do it now. Why not? Why wait till the snow's gone and the spring's there? Build it now. Or if you want to go one step further, you can maybe turn that raised bed into a small greenhouse. There's lots of projects out there on YouTube and that kind of stuff. I've seen them. They build a raised bed and just build a dome structure over it, cover it in plastic, and it literally acts like a greenhouse in the winter, and they grow year round. So if that's something you're interested in, and I'm going to say maybe you should be, I'm looking into them right now. So Eric mentioned it. I put it in there. If you're concerned about electricity, solar storms, EMPs, whatever, take a crack at building some sort of a Faraday box. Again, like Eric said, it doesn't have to be something big. It can be a 50 cal ammo box. Could be a toolbox of some kind, as long as you've got a way to tighten it down so that there's no way for the signal to get in. You're good to go. There's all kinds of them again on YouTube and that kind of stuff. Do be a little bit cautious. There are obviously with anything ideas out there that just won't work. But any questions? Ask somebody on the panel. I'm sure we can figure something out for you.
or you can cycle back. I don't remember the exact episode number, but we did a full episode with EMP Doctor where he gets quite in depth with setting things up and building a Faraday box. And hopefully we're going to get EMP Shield on here in the near future as well. So we'll have two different perspectives on it. So,
Yep.
Also a quick thing, because you're mentioning flower beds and everything, that it's a little whiles away, but when everything starts melting, the snow and everything, Mel mentions it's a great time to watch your yard, see where the water pools. So you're not necessarily going to put your garden right in the water puddle. You probably want it close there, so you don't have to garden as much. But you don't, depending on what you're growing, you don't want to flood the soil too much or whatever. So keep that in mind.
great point. Good point.
Also, where you might have a spring too. You never know.
Yep.
I built half my garage gym by myself out of lumber left over from my garage build. So I built a squat rack, I built a sled, I built a bench. There's all kinds of things you can build. I still have a step up box that I half a sheet of plywood. So there's lots of options there too. Don't let your imagination, or let your imagination be your only limit, I guess.
There's a guy on YouTube that he's built a ton of garage gym equipment out of lumber, and built a power rack, built a half rack, a bench, everything. I mean, dude made his own plates. He made his own barbell. Dude's freaking insane. His name's DIY Duke. Love that guy. He's freaking awesome. I mean, the way the things he comes out with is insane.
A lot of guys I see are making their own plates out of concrete, right? Like,
I actually have the old school out in my garage. Yeah,
the old school concrete with plastic around them, right? That's just concrete, right? There's nothing wrong with doing that. You just got to be careful not to drop them too hard.
Yeah. So what I started doing on
your toes as well.
What I started doing with those when I first started making them, I got some of the rattle can bed liner, and I just sprayed it. And instead of 45s, I made 50s. So right now I can't make any because it's kind of cold out and I'm about to move, so no point. But yeah.
Do not tell us what the actual temperature is there and call it cold.
Did you say?
I mean, too cold to mix concrete.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
It was like 30 today.
Ban.
All right, where's the kick button?
Actually, just backing up, Steve did ask if we saw the CBC story the other day about 3D printing guns. I kind of laugh at that CBC fear mongering there, because I mean, yes, theoretically people could use 3D printers to make all sorts of random stuff. However, people also have had access to like pipes for 12 gauge guns, lathes for Sten guns. I mean, machine pistols were named such because they were made in machine shops during World War II. So, I mean, like, there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to that stuff. So, as much as the CBC likes to hate 3D printers, they're no more of a different tool than anything else that can be used to make anything that's an offensive weapon.
Are you suggesting that law-abiding citizens are just going to continue doing law-abiding things with things that they acquire?
Not for long.
Shitty people will still do shitty things. So, anyway,
weird.
I just say, bans be damned. Yeah. So,
yeah. I, for one, am blown away by this new information.
Yeah, it is so weird. Anyway, as for myself, so what got me into the DIY preps as well as to just go to the store and buying something is generally when we try and do something on our property, it just doesn't work. Like, buy a pre-made chicken coop is not going to work when the terrain is like sitting at a 9-degree or 9% pitch or whatever, right? Or 9% slope. So it's a problem right off the bat. So like having to design your coop structures on uneven terrain. At the rebuild, there's a hay shed area that was like, it was on the house plans as a shed. So I was allowed to keep it and I didn't have to like reapply for a building permit or anything. I kept it within a minimum size and everything else. But again, to fit it in that footprint, I wasn't going to be able to buy a pre-made factory setup, so I had to do it myself. And so I mean, again, heating the house saves money with that unnamed material that I use from around the acreage. That's not my primary heat source, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, still, it's like it's a DIY thing. It takes time, but it saves money. It all's good. Talked about the power and solar setups, but the most recent thing here is like we talked about. I think last time I was on, we talked about how we're gonna do a sauna this summer, do like a finished like sauna cabin and stuff. Again, based on the where we're gonna put it, where there's no electricity around, it's on a slope. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's quad access only, and it's a barrel sauna doesn't work where we are because it's just gonna turn into mold within 4 or 5 months. So we're having to design our own. So if we didn't do that, it would just never happen. So I think a lot of people, especially depending on where they are, I guess DIY is kind of the only way to go sometimes. So I think it takes that first step, but I think it's definitely worth it in the long run.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people doing the DIY saunas, hot tubs, and bunch of stuff like that. I personally have not done a hot tub, but I definitely want to do a sauna eventually. That was me bringing that up.
Can you 3D print one?
You're gonna be there a minute.
We're gonna
Tune
find
in
out.
next week.
Well, now hang on. What about those that company that is they're like 3D printing houses with recycled material? I
yeah.
can't remember.
Yeah.
Basically,
I'm
it's a CNC concrete pump, and you can
Yeah.
3D print anything. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like these 3D printers getting out of hand.
We're 2 steps away from the replicator at this point from Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's true. Earl Grey tea, away we go. Yeah.
So Steve's tell us that they just scored a sauna for a few $100 off Marketplace, but yeah. Hey, I'm not the only nerd on this panel.
Hey, Alan's a nerd because he got the joke.
That's right.
And Alan is technically Ian. So
Once again,
I mean, it
this
makes
side-
sense.
no, I'm technically not Ian.
So I'm
Right.
about to like really blow y'all's mind right now. You may actually ban me after this. I may not be
Alright.
welcome back.
Okay, I'm floating over the ban button. Go for it.
I've never seen Star Wars or Star Trek
Yeah, we won't
at
ban you
all
for
in
that.
my life.
Oh,
That's
that
okay.
could be a deal killer.
You're-
I don't know.
You're really not missing much.
That's fine. We won't ban you on that one.
Okay.
It's
Hey, did I show you my new gun?
You should fix yourself and watch the show. Stuff.
That one might get.
Oh, jeez.
So I didn't put anything in the notes. But I was just thinking, whatever. I mean, I'm a huge supporter of making your own first aid kits because pretty much anywhere you buy, I mean, I pretty much just buy it for the rolls of gauze and maybe the pouch it comes in, but I pretty much just empty it. Whether it be Amazon, like a roll of gauze is pretty much a roll of gauze, give or take.
Yeah.
Don't cheap out on some things. Do some research, ask some people. Building your own first aid kit is a great start to doing something for yourself. And then from there, something that, you always have in your preps, just, doing some research and saying like, hey, like Greg was saying, those Faraday rods, like he walks around, picks up a tree, costs him nothing but hour or, like his personal time, which I mean, if you're just going to sit down and watch TV, your time is worth nothing, right? If you're calling in sick to do this, then it costs you money. But, if it's on your spare time, might give you, just something and may not be cost effective. But I was like, right off the get go, but I was like, just the value of, you taking something and making it work however it's supposed to work and be able to use it and say it worked and be like, it's a little bit better than that add to cart button on the Amazon order list for some things. Another good DIY, which Scott mentioned, learning how to do something. So if you know someone that's mechanically inclined or anything, taking the time and just being like, hey, when you're not busy or next time if they do their own repairs on their vehicle, like, hey, do you mind if I come over and you kind of explain it and then, hey, can you come over and give me a hand? What do I need to buy? Learning stuff like that. Like he says, he doesn't want to do a DIY to repair a septic tank. Like, I don't think anybody does, but if something happens and like nobody can come out, or it's going to be
So you mean when
$10,000
shit
or
happens then?
Yeah, because that shit'll cost you at least $2,000 here.
Yeah,
it is a shitty
exactly.
job,
but just something like that, and then just doing small things like that. Learning how to drywall, learning how to use a level and put a shelf up for yourself. And then earlier in the chat, someone had mentioned, I think it was on the Facebook one, that he took the time to learn stuff because the funds weren't available. But he's like, now I have the funds, so now I can pick and choose what I want to do, and if I want to make this a priority, or now I can hire someone. But if
a lot of times, like I'm in the same boat with that. Like I learned how to, work on all my own cars and stuff like that. No, I just don't like doing it. But I'm still like, God, I don't want to pay this asshole to fix my stuff.
Sure?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
it calls for 8 hours. Well, I know you're doing it in 2.5. Don't bullshit me.
But the book says, right? So yeah, but like I won't swap an engine out in my driveway, but like I'll do brakes all day, every day.
Exactly.
Right? So I can pick and choose, right? Like there's $200, $300 saved in labor. I can get a discount on parts, right? Because I know people,
exactly.
or someone or whatever. I mean, yeah, you can pocket a lot of money. It's not a lot of work. Yes, you need to know what you're doing and be due diligent, because you don't want to be like, I think it's good, and then have no brakes when you leave. But just doing small stuff like that, wait till winter and then figure out how to take your carb apart to make sure to get the snow is another really good way of doing your stuff yourself.
Yeah.
That's
no other choice.
No, I had no choice, right? But I mean, but putting yourself in that scenario, right? If it's just something you're like, it should be good. Like, middle of a snowstorm, I think we've got 40 centimeters of snow. Like, I did not want to shovel it by hand.
No.
And just, if not, what repair shop where you can go anywhere? What repair shop?
Sometimes you just got to go back to bed, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to go back to bed.
The snow will eventually go away. It will eventually melt.
Either it's going to be there tomorrow or it's not. And either way, it sounds like it's future Pierre's problem.
It sounds like this sounds like a 2023 problem. The last 2 days of December. But making time, if there's something you want to learn, we all say YouTube. My rule of thumb is I always look at 3 to 5 videos, and eventually they start making some sense, and one of them is way off. Don't listen to the one that's way off. So just start doing some research and seeing hey, how, I want to build a battery box because, they can be $2,000. The amount of information out there, you might be able to get yourself a battery, one of those boxes, an inverter. You can, look it up and do it piece by piece, watch the videos, make your little, doing anything like that keeps you busy, keeps your mind going. It's always one of the best things, keep your brain going.
I did see Scott chiming in there in the live chat, but he forgot. He's mentioning septic tanks and all that kind of things, but he didn't mention gasifiers. A little disappointed, Scott.
That's because he hasn't actually taken the wheel and built his own gasifier yet.
Oh, fair enough. I thought for sure he would be all over this episode talking gasifiers. Instead, he's lurking in the chat.
Gauntlet thrown down, so I'm hoping that 6 weeks from now he'll show us what's what and show us what he
Are
knows.
gasifiers becoming the new ham license?
Oh, they might. Yes. Yeah, that might be a thing.
Speaking of which, I'm actually going to be messing with my ham radio tomorrow.
Oh, look at you go.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I don't know what I'm doing, but
don't let the smoke out.
I'm probably going to let the smoke out. I'm not going to lie.
I actually hit a repeater today while I was driving. I hit a repeater that
Did it hurt?
Jumped me from 2 meters to 10 meters, and I was able to connect overseas. I was able to connect to Europe and make a couple of contacts while I was driving down the 401 today.
You have awesome luck with that.
Well, there's one repeater in my area. It's VE3 MMX, and it's always on crossband. And I hit Australia last time I was driving around, and I hit Spain today. It was pretty cool.
Nice. Very nice.
And Dallas, but it was a shoddy connection.
Yeah, that's too close. So anybody have any other DIY projects or any other thoughts for this episode?
Well, Mel mentioned that I didn't even think about it, but we're gonna try and figure out how to make our own essential oils,
Oh,
because
yeah, there you
they
go.
can get crazy expensive and hard
Yep.
to find. That's so we're thinking of right now we're in the midst of trying to figure out what we're doing, so we might not invest in it right now, but it is something that we're looking into figuring out. It might not be cost effective right off the get-go, but easily and readily available without everything being out of stock or who knows
Yep.
what. So yeah, that's definitely something we want to look into. Make our
Yeah,
little
that'd be
hipster box.
Nice.
Yeah, essential oils and stuff like that. Like there's some that you just got to be, weary of too, because there's so many on the market now.
Yeah.
And some are they're just like fragrance oils essentially.
Yeah.
And
So
it's just a waste. And then you get it, you'll order it and be like, oh, okay, this is great. And then you're like, what the hell?
It's no good at all.
This sucks.
and then at that point you're gonna have to practice your gardening skills, because then you know what you got. You take it from your garden, put it in.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
it'd be
me and
good to
Jessica were just talking about that too, actually.
yeah, it's been a thing we want to do for a little while. And
Yeah,
we're probably gonna get going on it this year, just because look at the price of everything and
exactly.
availability of everything, right? So,
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, the whole idea of tonight's episode was just get everybody kind of thinking about different projects they can take on. While times are good, build up some skills, build up some knowledge, build up just your confidence in taking on a new task and making something that's going to be useful for you. And hopefully we've kind of sparked some ideas in everybody's minds on a little project that they might want to take on and maybe get going with it. So it's kind of the thoughts for this episode. Hopefully it's helped some people out. But how about we move into the podcast challenge?
All right, so it's time to take the wheel and make your own favorite project happen. So consider designing or building one preparedness project versus buying it at a retail outlet.
Awesome. And if you do end up making something, flip an email into feedback@prepperpodcast.ca and let us know what it is you came up with.
Hang on real quick.
Yep.
In the comments here, Ryan Olson, he says, what has been your best lesson taught while making a DIY project? Watch out for the freaking pointy end.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say watch out for the pointy end was a pretty good one, because I thought I was gonna lose my favorite finger. So
Yep, mine was don't cross the polarities.
yeah.
Batteries
Get
don't
it
Mine
like
expensive,
was clamp your work down, and I realized that after I put a drill bit through my hand.
Yeah.
Ooh, yep.
Safety gear is there for a reason.
Mhm.
Yeah.
100%.
Slow down, honestly.
Yeah. Yep.
Best thing I can say, slow down.
Absolutely.
Regardless of whatever we do, a lot of times when things start, going smoothly, we get tunnel vision, regardless of what we're doing, whether it be, just walking through a store, you're just in your own little world and whatnot. Next thing you know, you smack your face on a pole. I don't want to talk about it, but but no, just slow down, pay attention, and think ahead. Play chess, don't play checkers.
Yeah, I think that's a big takeaway, because in today's day and age, everybody's in a rush to go absolutely nowhere and do all kinds of nothing, right? So when you do take on a DIY project, slow down, take your time with it, enjoy the process, and if it's going to take you a few days, it's going to take you a few days. But
And project's not going
definitely slow
nowhere.
down. Exactly. Slow down and just take your time with it. And then chances are you're not going to put a drill bit through your hand, or
Grab the pointy end.
grab the pointy end, or let the smoke out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say do some research and maybe look up you think you get everything, and then you realize half of what you purchased doesn't work with the other half,
Mm-hmm.
and you have no intention of using it. And it costs you twice as much for you jump in it too much. So that's one thing I've noticed. Take
Is
your
it really a
time.
project though if you don't have to go to the hardware store at least twice?
Or
Oh,
at least
you gonna make
restricted.
trips? You
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
make
you're
some
gonna make
trips,
right?
You
But yeah,
gotta-
just I'm a big fan of, hey, like the way we put shelves up. We bought these brackets, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna keep putting these up. So I'm like, count the studs, and I'm like, add another 10. We're putting up 6 shelves. Yeah, buy that, 500 pack of screws. We don't need that much. I'm not coming back for one screw, right? But
Yep.
taking the time and measure twice, 2-3 times. You don't want to go back just to get one board, and there, be all. But yeah, that's
Right.
mostly the house rental stuff. Is really take your time. Google different options, look at different stores, even though one store is closer. If you drive another 5 minutes, maybe you can save $200. Which is
exactly.
well worth it
Or
in
find a
gas at
propane
that
tank.
point. Yeah, that too. I mean, only wherever Jeff was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a big thing. It's just
Yep.
everybody wants to go and everything, but sometimes you just need to slow down. Google, obviously Google. Go walk around. If you're in town one day, make a stop somewhere. Go walk around, take some pictures,
Yeah.
compare pricing. Sometimes in-store deals are better than online deals. Sometimes online deals are better or non-existent.
Yep.
But yeah.
Oh, solid advice. All right, so we move into upcoming events.
All right, switching over from BC to Ontario now. January 29th is the Orangeville Gun Show. Easy drive from Toronto for most people, and the link is in the show notes.
Awesome. Radio Amateurs of Canada is still doing their spring 2023 basic ham radio course. So check it out at rack.ca. The cost for the course is $50, and then you're about $50 ish for the textbook as well. So all in all, you're in and around $100 for the course. It does run Thursdays and Sundays. It's starting on January the 26th and ending in early April 2023. And if that is looking like you're going to be away for a couple of those days or not able to attend, don't sweat it. They do email out the recording of the class afterwards. So if you miss one or two, it is not a big deal. You can always catch up, and definitely well worth doing.
So quick question though, on the 29th, since that's a Sunday, are you still going to be able to get a transfer number?
Don't know. It's a good question.
Sorry, what was that?
A transfer number.
Yeah, I think
It's on the 29th. Can you still call up the?
I would think so. I've yet to do a non-retail purchase after the laws changed, but I mean, they must have something in place. Like they might have somebody from the CFO's office there. You never know. That's what they used to do for handgun restricted purchases. But it is a pretty big show, so I mean, yeah, who knows?
So there's only one way to find out.
Yep.
Show up.
So I've got a question here, and I hope I don't sound like a douchebag when I ask this, but
That's
what
not
do
what
y'all
makes you
have
sound like
at
a
your gun
douchebag.
shows right now?
Oh, it's we still
Pictures.
have- yeah.
Pictures and Nerf guns.
Yeah, this is what we used to have. No, actually, because a lot of the proposed bans haven't actually gone through. You're still allowed to buy and sell a lot of stuff, but of course, there still has to be, instead of a Form 4473, we never had forms before. We just had flash your license, call it a day, and you could send it in the mail to the other guy across the country. No FFL required or anything else. However, now they got this new transfer number in place that you have to go through the centralized government office to get like basically a 4473 done. And yeah, so now you just, unfortunately on the weekends it might be a bit more difficult, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, you can still do a lot of transfers. I mean, still everything from bolt actions, lever actions, shotguns.
If y'all come across a Winchester 3030 with a gold trigger, let me know. I've been looking for one for a while.
But 94 or 73 or what do you want?
94.
Okay.
94 Ranger with a gold trigger. I had one, and now I don't.
Yeah, Why do I have a funny suspicion there'll be one on your wall next week?
Yeah.
Man, I've really been looking for one. Since I got rid of it. I got rid of it to get my first AR back in the day, and I've
Regretting it.
kicked myself in the nuts ever since. It's like my first El Camino that I had. I've been trying to fill a void in my soul since I got rid of that car. And it's never going to go away. Part of me is gone.
Oh, jeez. Well, with that, should we move into Jeff's weather blurb?
Sure. And just Tito, stop giving away my secrets. Yeah, so as I mentioned on last week's show, the atmospheric rivers are continuing to hammer the west coast of the U.S., specifically into the California area. It's good, but also with the good sometimes comes the bad. There's been 19 deaths so far, and several thousand homes have suffered significant water damage from the floods and the runoff. You know, after having the fires and no trees and all that, there's just nothing to hold the water back. So, but on the bright side, the state is almost totally out of any significant drought status. They still have drought status, but the extreme and the significant drought statuses have all but disappeared. The snowpack that last week was at 140% of the yearly average. Because of the continued storms this week, it has ballooned to 225% of a yearly average. So that should bode well come the spring when the snow starts to melt, and you know it's certainly not going to get them out of the woods, but it's certainly going to help hopefully for next year for crops and water and that kind of stuff. There is another storm coming for the beginning of this week for them, and then things should start to calm down a little bit and return closer to normal. Again, be nice if they continued to have, you know, days of rain here and there, not the amount that they got that caused all the flooding, but you know, to go, you know, 6 weeks and not see a drop of rain isn't a good thing either. So I did throw a little article in there. Outside of that, there was a bit of a tornado breakdown in the southern states. I believe Selma, Oklahoma, I believe, got hit pretty hard. But I'm not really seeing anything coming up in the near future that is of concern. But if there is, I'll obviously plop it under our general weather on the Discord.
We had some tornadoes touch down here in Georgia. One was I was leaving a meeting, and they were like, "Yeah, tornado just touched down south of Macon," and I was like, "Wait a minute, where's south of Macon? It's not good." And then it actually it touched down about 3 hours from here, so it was 3 something like that. It was in Covington, Georgia, which some of y'all may know is like they call it the Hollywood of the South. It's where Heat of the Night was filmed, Dukes of Hazzard, Steel Magnolias or something like that. I don't know. I don't know
Debbie
that
Does
one.
Atlanta.
Yeah. Debbie's a nice girl. But the Vampire Diaries, all that stuff, it was filmed out there. Me and Jessica went out there for her birthday or our anniversary. I can't remember. I think it was her birthday. Or it may have just been just because, I don't know. But yeah, it was, apparently it touched down like right outside the center of the main town right there. So like some of the neighborhoods we went through that they used those houses for filming and everything we went to see, gone. Like a bunch of the neighborhoods are just gone.
Wow. Shall we move into deal of the week?
All right, so you can get your Crocodile Dundee on here. There's a giant Bowie knife on sale at Cabela's. It is massive. It's going to be like a 16-inch blade or something. 60% off. It's on for like
Like an
$27.99
internet
right
16-inch
now.
blade?
What's that?
Internet
Never-
16 inches?
Internet 16 inches or like a real 16 inches?
No, like a real legit 16 inches. So you'd be like,
Bro, that's at
32.
least 3 feet.
Yeah.
I've got it pulled up right here. I'm telling you right now, that's 3 feet.
That's
So
a
it's,
that's a 7-pound bass.
Yeah.
It is literally, I think it's a regular $100. It's on for $27.99, so it's a pretty good deal.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. All right. Anyone got any shout outs? All right. I got a quick shout out for Alan. Congratulations on being one episode in Rage Quit free.
Yeah. I mean,
Show's not over yet.
Oh, it's about to be. All right. With that, I'll bring episode number 191 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to the end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, of course, your favorite podcast app. Please do submit a review. It does help other people find us.
We do record these shows live on Facebook and YouTube, where you can hear me quit and think that I had already logged off, but obviously hadn't. If you want an early peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That gives you an alert when we're going live. You can contact me at Alan, that's with one L, at prepperpodcast.ca.
And I can be reached at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, and I'm also frequently on the Discord. That Ian can't.
That Ian's been kicked off of.
yeah.
Is Brad still there, or did he mute and walk away?
I don't know.
He's gone.
All right. Well, you can get Brad at batbradcpp@gmail.com if he feels like showing up at some point to the show again.
See, his quit was nowhere near as awesome as mine.
No, he just
No, we
silent
didn't even
quit.
realize he was
Yeah.
gone. He was like, I'm
Well,
out.
I don't even get a good sound clip out of it.
Well, quiet quitting is the new norm now. So
Yeah.
That's the StreamYard sayonara is what that is, where you just mute
Oh,
and
yeah, see,
leave.
yeah, it's a good point. We're an hour 12, and he only signed up for an hour-long episode.
there you go.
Got it.
You can reach me on the Discord app or at crossrifleranch@gmail.com.
You can find me off the wall customizing. I think we're on the Tickety Talk, the Instagrams. I am on the Discord, not very, very often. For the CPP on Gilded app for the other CPP, or Monday nights on YouTubes for the Canadian Prepper Podcast. Or no,
That's
Patriot.
Sunday.
Yeah,
there
that's
you go.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's this one. That's the one you're on. Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
The Patriot Podcast with potentially some other people on the panel.
Right on. You can reach Ian directly by emailing me at theislandretreat@gmail.com. You can find myself, Pierre, Gavin, and the other prepper panelists on Canadian Patriot Podcast, which is on iTunes, YouTube, and we record Monday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Since I can't go on Discord or WhatsApp or Facebook or anything else, I'm on the Gilded app.
Any of the
for,
internets at all.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on the Guild app for the OG CPP. So email if you want an invite. They can find us discussing why government forces me to innovate.
All right, and check out rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. So thanks for joining us, and until next time, be prepared, stay safe.
And keep learning. I quit.